Oh my God. It's the time. It's the podcast time. We're like fucking 7 years behind and in a way oversaturated market, but fucking we're doing it. We're doing it live. Hi, Cameron.
Hiya, how are you?
I am feeling fucking peachy. As I said, we're way over our heads, but we're doing it anyway. So let's fucking go. Should we do a little check-in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm millennial, gender fluid, gay, and now it's your turn.
I am Z. I am a cis gay man. Not a lot else to offer pronouns-wise. He, him. But to be honest, at this point, you can call me what you want. I'm absolutely happy with anything.
Oh yeah, God, I'm any pronouns you could possibly think of. Even that cow over there, it's fine.
I mean, maybe not that one, but I'll.
I can be a cow.
You can be a cow. You can be a cow, right? So, I mean, I guess before we start, I guess we should give a little bit of a synopsis, the right word?
But I don't know, my brain doesn't function at this moment particularly well. So let's just do like whatever the fuck you want to do. It's fine.
We'll do whatever the fuck I want to do, which is basically tell you what this podcast is about. It is going to be a bit different. There are going to be a few different segments. We will introduce them as we go along. Me and Thomas both do have drinks with us. So it's not that this podcast is about me and Thomas getting drunk, because that would be ridiculous. But that might happen in the meantime. I mean, who knows? You never know what is around the corner. The podcast, like I say, will have a few different segments. Thomas has his own specific segment, which he'll present to you at some point. It's very fun. I think you'll enjoy it. And I also have one too. More on that later. We'll have a couple of topics that we talk about as well. And we are not going to hold back. The whole point of this podcast is it is going to be honest. We want to hear your opinions, of course, on the topics as well. You might not agree with everything we say. I mean, we're probably not going to agree with everything we say with each other. But there is one thing you need to remember out of everything in this podcast is that me and Thomas, we are always right. And with that said...
Wait, are they going to be able to like leave comments or something?
Yeah, I mean, this will go up on YouTube. We'll have it up on Spotify. We'll also post different snippets to Instagram. We'll try and get it on some other podcasts and platforms as well, which is easier said than done, but we'll try and do it. But if you listen to it on Spotify, you can message us both on our socials. They will be in the description as well.
Right. So if you have like any suggestions, questions, compliments, or death threats, absolutely, by all means.
Absolutely, we love the death threats. So they're top of the list.
Just creative. Don't be like, oh my God, I'm gonna stab you in the eye, because that's fucking boring. That's not giving me a lady boner. Sorry.
No.
First of all, be like a little bit like, I don't know, sexual maybe, and then kill. You know what I mean?
A sexual death threat. I'm trying to think what a sexual death threat would be.
Looking forward to it, bitch, aren't you?
Someone's going to come up with one now. You've given them the ammunition, and now they're going to fire.
So I have been living in Netherlands for quite some time now, and I've been out of UK, and I've been out of the loop, but obviously having Twitter, I'm hearing, the fucking British controversy. What is up with that bitch HanCOCK? What has she done now?
Controversy? Well, is there ever not controversy in this country? I mean, you must be missing Britain after reading some of this. I mean,
listen, I'm missing the Londons and the Chesters and all that stuff, but I ain't missing the fucking Conservative Party, let me tell you.
Well, that's fair enough. I think your opinion there is probably shared with the majority of the population. Unbelievably. Again, I don't know whether you know this. I mean, you do keep yourself in the loop, so you probably do. But somehow, the Tory party are still, I think there's a poll the other day that I saw that was, I think they're at 8 points ahead in percentage points over Labour. Now, you could argue there's a lot of questions there to ask about the Labour Party and Keir Starmer and whether he is putting himself up as a credible opposition. But maybe, we're all focusing on Labour, but this Conservative Party, unbelievably, seems to be unelectable, even through controversies like this. And I mean, it's been hard to keep up with the controversies in the Conservative Party because there's been so many. However, Matt Twatcock, on the front of the Sun, I mean, Sun of all papers, one of the most popular papers in the UK, also one of the most controversial papers in the UK, written by a lot of scumbags, but it doesn't matter. The point is, they gave us an amazing exclusive, a world exclusive of Matt Hancock pictured on front of the thing. We all know it. Everyone who's listened to this, unless you've been living under a rock or I mean, I was going to say live in another country, but at the same time, even if you've been living in another country, it seems like it's come through. Has obviously been caught having an affair with his aide, who had no experience or any sort of background as to why she got the job. So you can understand why she got the job. Interestingly as well, her husband, because she has a husband as well, so it's important as well. I know a lot of people criticising Matt on this, but Gina has also destroyed a family as well. Her husband has been given a contract by Matt Hancock, an NHS contract. So that's very interesting as well. A very interesting story. There's so much to it. I don't know whether you saw the video, Thomas. I did show it to you the other day.
I have seen it. I have become very uneasy. I have trembled. I have almost fainted. Listen, I've seen some creepy shit in my life, but this was fucking creepy as shit. All right.
Let me just say, I mean, look, this is going to sound ridiculous. If you're going to be caught having an affair, right? Which, I mean, if they're doing stuff in the offices, it's going to come out eventually. Even they know that. I mean, that's what got Gina going. That's what she liked. I guarantee that was the thing. Because, I mean, you can't find Matt Hancock attractive. I mean, I'm trying my damn hardest as a gay man who can find a lot of men that are very not attractive, like Simon Cowell with all his plastic surgery and attractive. I can't find, I mean, and that's before you even talk about how bad he'd be in the bedroom. I mean, a stick insect doesn't even do it justice. And that's not saying that's about his figure. That's just more about his dick. I mean, I honestly think he must be horrific in bed. So this is a question I want to ask you really. What the flying fuck, and I know everyone's saying this as a joke, but what on earth did she see in him that made her think, you know what, I've got a husband, I'm going to fuck my life up for Matt Hancock?
Well, let me tell you from my perspective, which is actually, believe it or not, kind of similar to hers, you know? I love powerful men. I love power in general. I just think that it's so attractive. The thing that I don't get is how could she be so silly? Because even though, well, on paper he is powerful, he's still a twat, obviously, and he's super disgusting, clearly. And no amount of power will ever help that. Well, maybe it could, but it's not enough. I'm just thinking she was kind of basic, to be honest, a basic bitch. Like, you have to, if you really want all that power to yourself that he possesses, you play the game, you play him, you play everything else, you set everything up, it like a domino effect, right? So basically you set it up so you get caught, you get something out of it, and you get a lot out of it. You don't get caught, you still get him and his power. She didn't do any of that. She was like, oh my God, let me absolutely spread my legs and see what happens. Like, bitch, no, that's not how you do it. And she was just too, how do you say it in English? Too big for her boots?
Yeah, absolutely. That is perfect.
Yeah, that's my opinion. She was too big for her boots. She did not know how to handle this.
I think that's probably fair. I mean, it has to be his position in his power. Now, the question you've got to say now, and we won't go all on about the video, we won't go into the details, and it's absolutely disgusting in the video. And you know when people say, I've just watched something and I want to literally gouge my eyes out, I always used to think that is the most exaggerated statement in the world. Like, I've never even watched a video, even disgusting videos I've never watched and wanted to do that. Quite honestly, when I watched that video, I was saying to God, I looked up, I don't believe in God, and I said, why the fuck did you not make me blind? Because I never, ever wanted to see that in my life. It's honestly disturbed me more than many things I've seen in the last year and a half, and I've seen some torrid things. That's probably the worst of it. If only Matt Hancock would have done this a year and a half ago, maybe we wouldn't have been in such a mess. But there we go. He didn't really get sacked, did he? He ended up walking. Now, this is the question. We're not really going to talk about the whole politics beside it because it's been spoken to death about, and most of us who are interested in this topic don't necessarily care about the politics particularly. I mean, I do, but that's because I'm boring as fuck. He's now lost his power. Well, again, another question. Has he lost his power? You know, what now? Because, you know, if we're saying for Gina, the thing was the power, you know, his position, almost, in my opinion, as well. What would have got her excited? I don't know. I'm not in her head. I'm very glad I'm fucking not in her head because
I see that bitch straight. I see her clearly.
Well, as you see her so well, now he's lost his power. Now they've been caught. That whole, I mean, it's like when you do something outside, you know, outdoor sex or public sort of affectionate things, you know, whatever it is. It's just blowy round the corner in a bush, or if it's full on sex in the middle of the street. There's that sort of thing that turns you on. That is, oh my god, I could get caught here. And I feel like that was definitely a factor with them too. I mean, that if you've seen the video, he checks the video, and there's that funny meme about checking that you deliver or whatever the fuck is coming. And he's kind of, so he's checking, there's that excitement, there's that adrenaline that it gives you. It almost turns you on more, it gets you more excited. That's all gone now. His power in and of effect is gone. He's now a backbencher. It's unlikely, at least the next 5 years, he's going to come back into frontline politics. My question for you is, if you're Gina now, what is, because you say you can understand, you can get into her head. What's your mindset right now? Is your mindset, I fucked it? Is your mindset, I'm getting myself out of this? Or is your mindset, actually, you know what? I've got on the horse. That is not a good thing to say. We'll say it. I've got on the horse. I'm now going to ride it.
Well, yes. First of all, after watching that video, it was fucking horrendous. It was so creepy. And bitch, it was disgusting. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about disgusting. I was teaching you about fisting, okay? So I know what disgusting is. Anyway, so if I'm her now, it's basically like, okay, so I can't like be her because I would play completely different. But let me tell you what's going to happen to her now and what she's going to do because I kind of know. So basically, what's going to happen, since he's still got pretty powerful friends, right?
Yeah.
And he's got connections and he's got, you know, the backroom deals and all that stuff. She's going to be kind of like sticking around to see what's actually going to happen and all the money that he's going to manage to get from his from deals and everything that he can do. She's going to be around for that for a little bit. I give them 4 months because then she's just going to be fucking over her head again because she's going to be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? And obviously, I hate this guy. I'm not going to stay with him. It's not exciting anymore. It's not fun. I got nothing out of it. So she's going to probably end up like stripping, hopefully. That's going to give her money.
Either that or, I mean, if only Celebrity Big Brother is about, her or the wife of that HanCOCK, which we'll get onto in a minute, they would surely be in that house.
Yeah, that's like a dream team. They would get fucking each 100K, 150K easy for Celebrity.
I mean, get them both in. Get them both in. I mean, this is not. We're not meant to make it into a soap. This is real people's lives. But make it. Let's do it. Let's get them on Big Brother. Let's give them a big paycheck. And anyway, the whole thing. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, you've given it 4 months. I mean, everybody leave. Everybody leave your Matt HanCOCK. And I find it really difficult to say his name properly now because I've given him so many swearing names. It's very difficult to actually say his name properly. But what is your... Everyone, leave it down in the comments below, message us, whatever else. Maybe when this episode goes up, we'll put a poll on both of our Instagrams saying how, you know, I don't know how we'll do it, but how long do you think they're going to last? Do you think it's going to be 1 to 6 months, which you've said you think it's going to be 4 months, 6 to 12, or 12 plus? Maybe they'll last forever. I'm going to go for 6 to 12. I don't think, even if she does leave publicly, I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be 6 to 12. Obviously, he's left his wife, he has kids as well. Let's talk about the wife. We won't talk about the kids. Obviously, you know, our thoughts with the kids.
Don't touch kids, ever.
They don't deserve.
Figuratively, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, lots of, I mean, it's horrific for them. And one thing, the only people I feel sorry for 100% in this is the kids, because it's probably bad enough having your dad as Matt HanCOCK. You know, I can't imagine that gets you many brownie points in the school playground. For him then to do that on the national paper is disgraceful, and it shows a lack of regard for his kids there. I think he's a terrible parent. And people will criticise that I couldn't give less of a fuck. I think he's a terrible parent for doing that. In a position of power, to do that in a public office, knowing the risks of it coming out, I think it's disgraceful. And I think he has to look in the mirror and ask himself whether he's a good father or not. And I think his conclusion is probably going to be a negative one. But the wife, let's talk about the wife, because a lot of people feel sorry for her. And I do, because obviously...
it's right to feel bad for the woman
because
she
she's
that was screwed by a straight mediocre white man. I mean, fucking join the club, right?
now the one thing. I mean, we spoke about this briefly when we spoke on call the other day, and the one question you have to pose, maybe you want to pose it because you were the one that actually posed it on the call, is with Matt HanCOCK's wife, ex-wife, she's still wife now, but not necessarily together, ex-wife, whatever you want to call it. She chose to be with him. Now, I'm not saying she deserves everything she comes for, and this is the interesting thing about this thing. We're focused on the morality of the affair, but in actual fact, that's not actually what got him sacked. Having an affair as a politician nowadays, it doesn't really matter. It's like eating your 5 a day. It really does. It's good. It's good for you. Well done. You've done the recommended amount. What got him sacked, obviously, was the COVID restrictions. But obviously, we're more focusing on the morality side of things. Naturally, everybody's first instinct when something like this has happened is to feel sorry for the kids, as we said, but also the wife. You pose something, though, that makes you think, should we feel... Yes, we should feel sorry for the wife. Yes, we should feel empathy. But do we have to draw the line somewhere? And do you want to explain?
We actually have to. What I want to focus on, one thing that really bugs me is that I want to separate this whole affair and how she was hurt and everything, because that's a given. And obviously, I agree with that. And she should never forgive, because forgiveness is way overrated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I want to completely separate it. Like, look at her as from one angle as a person, right? Just one angle. It's like, okay, you're Matt HanCOCK's wife. Maybe you have love, maybe you have great relationship, whatever, until this point.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, there's two options, right? Either there's one, which is like you're a, I don't know, let's say a housewife type. And then, he comes home after a long day of work and destroying NHS and all that shit. And then you fucking put some spaghetti onto his fucking plate and be like, hey, honey, how was your work day? And then you're just not asking, why are you doing those things? Why are you destroying the country? Why are you making everything so difficult, much harder than it has to be? My question is, are you just not interested in politics? Are you not interested in what your husband does? Are you silly? Are you not interested, or do you not care? That's my only thing. Just separate the fair. All that.
You made a good point there about and it's a big argument you hear when people are with, certainly in relationships, when somebody is with somebody who goes against their political leaning or their political views. A lot of the time, the excuse is, I just don't care about politics. But what I would say, is that an acceptable argument? Not just for Matt HanCOCK's wife, but just in general. Is that an acceptable argument? I don't necessarily think it is. Because I think political opinion especially, is something you should judge somebody on, because that's something that person has actively chosen to do. There may be influences externally as to why they are believing what they believe in, but that is the thing. Now, the thing we're also saying is, we're not, this is not, us saying, look, it's a Tory, you should be against a Tory because it's a Tory. This is Matt HanCOCK. This is a guy who, with a care home crisis, killed thousands and thousands of people, at the beginning. The PPI, every fucking time. PPE crisis caused major issues, meant a lot of NHS workers were severely ill with COVID, weren't able to give the care out that they needed to at the beginning of the pandemic. Some of them even lost their lives because of the lack of PPE. So many mistakes, so many fuck-ups from that. This is more than just, you're a Tory and, I don't like Tories. I think, as a wife, you should say something. This is, he was killing people, for fuck's sake.
Oh, no, I don't think it's political at all, actually. It's a question of right or wrong, and it's not political.
No.
I mean, anybody could have done it. Even fucking Jesus could have done it, and you would still be wrong. It's a question of right or wrong. He did a shitty thing. He did a horrible thing. He did not give a fuck. And that's the only thing we're talking about. We're not talking about political crap. It's not political at all. If you're doing something knowingly that's going to hurt others, you're doing the wrong thing.
Let's not walk around the bush. I mean, his decisions, I don't necessarily think he's gone into. I don't necessarily think he's done this intentionally. But his decisions that were criticised at the time because they will end up killing people have killed people. Now, whether he intended to do that or not, is irrelevant. I don't understand how, and maybe she did. Maybe it will come out that she was telling him to resign. But if I was with somebody,
I hope so,
who you know was in Matt Hancock's position in a pandemic that was making these ridiculous mistakes, I would be telling him every time he comes through that door, resign from the fucking job, quit. You are doing a shit job. You're killing people. Stop doing it. She has quite a lot of power over him. Do you know what I mean? And who knows? We don't know the ins and outs of the relationship. He may have been a really controlling piece of shit. But as on paper, as his wife, and we have to assume it's on paper, we have nothing else to go off, she has some sort of influence or some sort of power over him. And, you do have to sit there and question, did she use that power in the right way? And that's the one thing you have to question, because maybe she did, and maybe it will come out, and I hope she did. But
I hope so.
What was telling to me is when this story leaked first, this was before the whole Sun exclusive, it leaked that there was a apparent affair with Matt Hancock and one of his aides. And she went out and sort of done a kind of Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton sort of show of appreciation with the ring on the, about to point to the thing that I don't know what fucking thing that's meant to be, but showed the Reading, not Reading Festival, but that guy's very bad. Wedding, I can't do my W's and R's there, they're going into one. The wedding ring, she showed it quite publicly to everyone as a sort of show of, and this was only a few days before everything happened. Obviously, since then, lots has changed. Obviously, he came home, told her it was a load of bullshit. She believed it, which is, we've all been there believing people's bullshit, and we can't blame her for that. But again, that shows to me that she probably is not all right with this, but she deserves a lot of sympathy, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, when you marry a prick like that, who is willing to almost have no morality, no empathy, no regret, because when you listen to him in interviews, he has no regret over the mistakes. He makes excuses. He says that the decisions were not wrong. Over killing thousands of people, you have to question the morality of that individual themselves as well. And I feel like that's impossible not to do.
Absolutely. And even if she doesn't have any power over him, because it's not like people have power over people all the time.
Mm.
She has one thing that counts for something, and that's a fucking direct line of communication. And it immediately questions the morality of her, because simply that's what I said before. Did she not say it? Did she not care? Because he obviously, even though maybe he did, maybe he didn't, his actions led to deaths of so many people, but he didn't give a fuck. He did not care. So that obviously puts him in a spot of very dark moral ground, right? But then we don't know what her morality of it all is. Did she try? Did she not try? Did she try and fail? I mean, at this point, I can play pretend, and I can put myself in that position, and I'm immediately like doing everything to get away from that fuck, because I don't agree with it and it's too much.
Yeah, no, I'm locking him in the fucking cellar. I've never had a cellar in my whole entire existence, but I'm locking him in the cellar, and I'm throwing away the fucking key. And and we're having a story on the front of the Sun that isn't him having an affair, but is the fact that Matt Hancock's gone missing. And I'm going to go out and do interviews and pretend that I have no idea what's happened, and the police will end up finding him in 2 weeks' time. But if he's so traumatized, he's got to resign. I will come up with anything, because the thing with it is, this isn't politics. This isn't left or right. This is a case of life and death. And his decisions weren't just impacting poor people or rich people. It wasn't even that divide. She couldn't even sit there and say, yeah, but it wasn't affecting me. His decisions could have affected her elderly relatives, her vulnerable members of family. So she has had to have said there if she didn't say anything. And like you say, it may came out that she did. But like you say, she had that direct communication, and you have to question whether she put enough pressure on him to think about what he's doing, think about his thoughts. I would have left him. It's not as easy as that, and we shouldn't probably judge her too much. But I do think giving her a free pass, and that she's this almost, I don't know how to describe it, but to say Angel Gabriel, but that's probably not the best comparison.
Because we're not talking about the affair at all. We're talking about
the morality of the fact that she was with him, and that she allowed him to act the way he's acted for the last, year and a half specifically, and you could argue longer than that, but the year and a half since the beginning of the pandemic, and how that hasn't come up in conversation. You know, are you trying to tell me they didn't have that conversation? I mean, they must have had conversations about the pandemic, sure.
I mean, have they? This is why I'm saying, like, you know, he comes home from work and she's like, "How was your day?" He's like, "All right," and that's it. It could have been.
It could have been. It could have been. It'll be very interesting because I think she will speak at some point because I think the press will be on her.
That would actually help us, obviously, draw conclusions. But for now, we have to kind of like, you know, hope she was like, "Listen, you can't do this. Stop doing it. Oh my God, you're so horrible. I can't even believe it right now. Are you like for real?" I hope she did that. You know,
I hope she did that.
let's hope that because she can royally screw like so many of our fucking friends. And, we know those girls. We know those girls were like rich husbands and boyfriends who just like, listen, let's just be real, yeah? He was fucking bored because he could have had the best prostitute in London and he didn't. He just took a poor girl and fucking swirled up her head and she was like confused and she didn't know what she was doing. And yeah, I'm making excuses for her because she looks basic to me, and that's what she did. I think I'm actually 100% sure that's what she did. She got like swept up in it, and he took advantage of the situation. Obviously, it was consensual, obviously, because like nobody creepy like that would ever be able to lay on somebody who doesn't want it. But like she got swept up in it, and she got confused, and this is where she's at now.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to end this segment. Please do leave your thoughts on Matt HanCOCK down in the comments. I mean, everybody has an opinion on it. The memes, the videos have been brilliant.
Oh my God, so funny! I love those.
And I don't think this is the last we'll hear about this story. I feel like there will be more to come out. I mean, the CCTV, this is the thing I said to you the other day. The CCTV camera was there. I don't believe that is the worst that them two got up to on CCTV. I believe there is a far worse video out there that may well not be allowed to be released to the public, but in some way, shape or form, the details at the very least will at some point be released to the public.
I mean, probably one day will be released as like a how not to sex video.
How not to do it. I mean, they should play that. If there is that video, they should play it in sex education at school, just to teach them.
Celibate straight away, man.
Yeah, that would no teen pregnancies will exist after watching that video.
That's what's gonna happen.
We can solve any STIs, any STDs, the HIV/AIDS, but it's all solved if we just watch that video. Because nobody after watching that video even wants to think about anything to do with sex for a good week. I'm glad that I tore something in my arse so that I can't think about it. Otherwise, I just naturally wouldn't. It's come at a good time.
If it was two guys, it would actually be hot. But think about it. I mean, it's creepy, but it would be hot. It's like a creepy kind of hot.
What, Matt HanCOCK and David Cameron in the office?
No, I'm not talking like fucking. No. I'm not talking inferno fucking hot stuff. No, it's not like not Dante's freaky fantasy. No.
And on that note, I think we've done this topic to death.
Hi or no. Okay, but so today we have on hot or not green apples. Hot or not?
Hot. I mean, that goes without saying.
Green apples, super high, I agree. Now, racism, high or not?
Originally, I thought you said raisins, which I was going to say hot. I'm very glad I heard it correctly because that would have been an issue if I'd have sat here and said that racism was hot.
Hot or not?
Not. I mean, again, goes without saying. There's been a lot of controversy at the moment with football. I know you don't like football, Tomasz, but there's been a lot of controversy about football.
I like it. I just don't know it. I just don't understand it. It doesn't compute.
When we see each other next in person, and when that will be, we don't know. I am going to do a video with me and you of me trying to explain to you football.
Oh yeah, that's going to be mindfuck for me. I agree. Racism, not hot. Do not do it. Do not think.
Can I make a point first? There's been a lot of controversy in this country, especially at the moment, with taking the knee in football. So a lot of, you may have seen it in the Euros. I don't know.
I know about that, yeah.
Now, there's been boos. I mean, the reaction from Wembley the other night in the Germany game was pretty positive. Now, a lot of people are, some people argue, not a lot of people, but some people argue it's a political statement. That's why they're doing it. Now, even if you believe it's a political statement, even if you disagree with taking the knee for whatever reason, fucked up reason you come up with in your head, for me, booing is just, you can silently disagree with something. What is the rationale beyond somebody being racist? This is my base of my question. Let me put it into a question rather than a general point. If you boo taking of the knee, does that make you a racist?
Yes, absolutely. Fuck off.
Yes, I agree. And
you absolutely fuck off. You should be ashamed and you should question your morals because you don't have any. And also, yeah, racism, not hot. Don't do it. Don't boo fucking people taking the knee. You're a fucking racist, and I'm sorry to say, you fucking are.
Yeah, and you know what? I was going to add something. You said everything I need to say. Fuck anyone who boos the knee. That is as clear as day. As you may as well have a BNP sticker on your thing or a Nigel Farage t-shirt on, because it's as blatant as it is.
Fringe fucking right-wing shit you're part of, it's the same bullshit. So, conclusion to hi or not. Green apple, hi. Racism, not. Thank you.
That was brilliant. That was a hot or not segment. I'll be coming back every single week on the podcast if you did like it. Get involved in the conversation below on whether you think green apples are hot or maybe not, and whether you think racism is hot or not. I mean, if you do think racism is hot,
you're a fucking redneck. I don't want to hear from you. Shut your mouth.
Then we're going to be censoring you, and your comments are going to be deleted. But anyway, so basically this segment is mine. We just had hot or not from Tomasz, which was, I think, a great segment. Congratulations to you. What a segment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now we have the I'm blaming you. Now, you're probably thinking, well, Tomasz, me at home. I mean, it depends, really. It depends where you fall into. I mean, if you're Gen Z, then I'm not blaming you because I can't blame yourself, obviously. Can't take no accountability. It's part of our generation. I'm going to blame something on the past because I feel like our generation has been given how do we word it? It's been given a very difficult test here. One that we weren't prepared for. We didn't get built up for it. We didn't learn about. It's been thrown on us. The whole world, the whole planet is falling apart. I don't think that's an exaggeration at this point. I find it, no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, no matter where you are in the world, I think it's safe to say, certainly in the last year and a half with the pandemic, but I mean more with climate change, with the way politics has been, Trump, Brexit, far right increasing in power, the disdain and the distance between the left and right, the extremes of the left, the extremes of the right. There's no middle ground anymore.
Oh, bullshit, girl. It's true.
And the world is falling apart. So this segment is where I blame you, which might not be you, but I'm blaming you for what's going on. And my blame here today is one that's quite controversial, because obviously I don't want to start it on something simple. I could have called climate change. You know, you can't blame a Gen Z for climate change. But you could blame a Gen Z for what I'm about to blame you for, and not you specifically, Tomasz, or anyone at home. But if you want to be blamed by it, if you want to take offence to it, please do. And it's one thing, and that is the hidden and the not the hidden, because it's been very blatant, but the increase in the use of social media, the increase in the use of our whole entire lives being drawn down to a phone. The majority of us now spend most of our waking days staring at a screen. Now, in my opinion, people will say that's Gen Z's fault. How we were meant to be blamed when we're 7 years of age and it was institutionalized in us, that's all we ever saw, I do not know. But this, in my opinion, beyond everything that has fucked the world up, this has been the thing that has fucked the world up the most, whether it be through mental health, whether it be through politics, socializing, the way we feel about lives, our expectations, bullying, whether it be the way we see ourselves. All of those things have been negatively impacted by social media. And I am blaming the other generations for not seeing this earlier, for creating a system based off of profit, based off of what kept you engaged, kept you addicted to it. And I'm blaming them for putting profit, money, and power over the welfare of the human race. And I truly believe social media is the detriment to the human race. The moment social media and technology became not just a part of our lives, but our lives, is the time in which I think as a society there is no way to return. The unfortunate fact is we've already hit that phase. This is a question that I think says it all really. If you ask most people, you lose your phone and social media for the rest of your life, or you lose and you can never ever talk to your best friend ever again. Scarily, there's a lot of fucking people that would pick their phone over their best friend. And to me, that tells you society, the human race, it's fucked, it's gone, thrown in the bin. So I blame you. Whatever you is, I blame you for technology, for social media, and for waiting and putting profit over the welfare of the human race and the world of society in general. Tomasz, that's been ran, diverged from it. I mean, do you blame yourself? Do you think it's a previous generation thing? Do you think it's our fault as Gen Z? Do you think it's our fault because you know what? We had technology in our face that was given to us like candy at a fairground, and you know it's our fault for eating the candy floss.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see who takes the blame for that. I mean, points to the first one who admits it's their fault. I will break it down for now.
Yeah.
So here it comes. Obviously, the boomers. The boomers.
I like the emphasis on the boo.
It's like scary, right? Because they're fucking scary. Anyway, they don't give a fuck. They had a fucking rotary phone and a fucking rotary chicken, and that's what they cared about, right? So they don't give a fuck. Now, me as a millennial, I was handed a phone that had an orange screen and texts were something of a miracle, right? And it was kind of like adolescence, but like late adolescence, almost adulthood, right? So we were just like, "Oh, when are you coming over?" Like a normal text. It was nothing like that. And then obviously the social media happened, and kind of like us millennials, we were trying to play catch up because like we're still young. We don't want to seem old to you guys, right? So we're just like twitting and super Instagrammable, whatever, trying to catch up. It's like fucking old like tired, but we'll try, bitch. And it's like, I mean, everybody's on it. We might as well just be. But the thing with millennials is we did not grow up with that. So for us, it's either way. It's like that or not that. I mean, it's a cool source of information if you can curate it properly, right? Because like it gets to you straight away to your face, and you kind of see, and then you can see what's really going on.
Yeah.
Not like curated versions, like not fake news, whatever. So we kind of appreciate it for that, for the information, and for the obviously the Googles, and all this like what is chicken piccata or like stuff like that. Like we're like chill about it, right? Now I get where your frustration's coming from because, bitch, let's be honest, it's so easy to hand fucking tablet to a child and just like get rid of the child for like 4 hours straight, so it doesn't have to run around and piss you off, whatever. You just feed it, put a tablet in his hand, sorted, right? So I get the frustration, and you're absolutely right. And somebody has to take a blame for that. I don't fucking know who. I think also maybe a little bit millennials because obviously we had to hustle, right? We were handed this fucking shit economy. We had to get the side gigs, the fucking all that, like to get some money, right?
And a lot of that comes from social media, certainly
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah. So we got smart, we got handy, and we got smart, and we just hustled, and unfortunately that hustle involved the growing popularity of social media,
See,
which impacted on you.
the way I would answer this is what I think to myself with it is if we were talking about social media as a drug, call it heroin, call it crack cocaine, call it cocaine, whatever. What is the difference? I mean, to me, and again, this is going to sound controversial, but the opium crisis that we're seeing now that is killing lots and lots of people, and it's a disgrace, and it's disgusting, it's sad, and it's ruining lives, it's ruining families. You are effectively, not you, but whoever we are blaming here, they have effectively given a drug to young kids at a young age, and they have made them hooked to this drug that is going to ruin their life. And the question I have is, what is the difference between social media and technology and this emphasis and this almost sort of, you have to be on it. Otherwise, you know, even at like 7, 6 now, it's, I want a phone because my friend's on it. I can't not be, do you know what I mean? There's that pressure with it. What's the difference between this and giving a kid crack cocaine? The drugs ruin people's lives, absolutely. There's no disputing that. But social media is going to ruin people's lives in exactly the same way. In fact, it's probably going to ruin more people's lives, whether it be the risk of suicide, whether it be the risk of being bullied, whether it be the social pressures that come from it, whether it be the death threats that you have to deal with, the hate, the lack of self-worth, the inability now to function in communicating settings, social settings, you can't communicate properly. We've effectively given a whole entire generation, and I speak as that generation, heroin. We've given them the most addictive thing in the world that's going to ruin their life for the rest of their lives, and nobody gives a fuck about it. Nobody wants to take the blame for it. Nobody wants to take any accountability. And what I'm basically saying is there any way back? Can we come back from this? Because in my opinion, it's done. Seal it, sign it, deliver it. It's gone. We're over. It's done. We're not going to be able to come back from this point. Do you feel a bit more positive about it? And do you agree with my slight analogy or comparison between social media and giving a kid a drug? Or, you know, you hear parents all the time say, you can't have a fizzy drink, you know, too much sugar in it, it'll turn you too hyper. But more than happy to give them social media or a tablet or, do you know what I mean? How can you see fizzy drinks and Coca-Cola? And we understand the negative benefits that can do to young kids, of course. How could you see that as morally worse than hooking them onto social media, which we know is a completely and utterly cancerous society? Everything bad about society comes out on social media and is exasperated.
It's true. And unintentionally, you actually found out the correlation, because I recently discovered, I mean, not I discovered, but I found out that the phone and social media specifically activates the same synapses in your brain
Yeah.
as books do.
I mean, call me a motherfucking genius.
Yeah. But the thing is, phone is, you have it with you all the time, right? So it's like you're high all the time. It's like you don't have it like a down where you have to steal or do something
But
to it.
interesting, sorry to interrupt you there, but we actually have a rare insight into this, because you know, we actually, unbelievably, I don't think we've mentioned Big Brother for the whole entire podcast, but and this is the point, this is not about Big Brother, this podcast is completely separate, but when it matters and when it's important, when it brings something to discussion, we will mention it. And here it does bring something to discussion, because obviously we lost our phones when we went into Big Brother lockdown. Very different to the lockdowns that we've been having to deal with now. But effectively, and this isn't, it's very much more complex than what the simplistic way I'm about to describe it as. But when we went into lockdown with our chaperone, which was somebody that we were allowed to be with in some random location in the UK, in some cottage that we have to stay in and stare at walls for 5 days. If that seems relatable, it is. But just think yourself lucky, everybody who's been moaning about lockdowns for the last 2 bloody years. At least you had your phones. That got taken away from us. Now, we had that taken away from us. We had our drug that we've been used to. I mean, my phone's here. I literally, the whole way through, as soon as a notification goes off, I'm not paying attention to you, but I'm quickly checking everything's okay. Yeah. We had that drug taken away from us for that 8-day period when we were in lockdown, and then obviously for the 40, 50-day period, 40 for yourself, 50, not to rub it in.
Hey, fuck's sake, give me that.
51 days for you. I think it was 61 for me. Not too different. 10 days dissimilar, and it's a fucking travesty Tomasz didn't get to the final. I will say that right now. I'll put my foot down. I look at those finalists.
Oh, poor rich girlfriend.
How are you not in the top 4 ahead of some of them? No disrespect to them. God love them. But seriously. Anyway, beyond that, it's not about Big Brother. We lost our phone. Were there, weirdly enough, there were withdrawal symptoms, and withdrawal symptoms you usually associate with drugs. Interestingly, I associated it with a phone. I mean, I experienced this. I know other housemates experienced this. I don't know whether you did. The phantom phone ringing, the phantom phone vibration. Even when we were in the house, you would be sat in the smoking area, and you'd feel a vibration in your pocket, thinking it's your phone. You'd go there and be like, well, obviously I haven't got my phone. How has obviously I can answer this question too, but I'm going to ask you the question. How was losing your phone for Big Brother? Because for me, it was one of the toughest things about the whole thing, was the fact that I was not going to be able to have my phone.
And I can see how that was for you, because obviously, as we said before, Gen Z grew up with technology. For me, it was actually fine. It took just a little bit and be like, yeah, it's humans now and there's no phone. I mean, yeah, sure, I could Google something to like find out something, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to be on
Life and
this or that.
death.
I was absolutely fine, bitch. Like, seriously, so fine.
I think the thing is, no, it took me a while. It took me the 8 days while I was in lockdown, and then it also took me a few days once I got over Big Brother. But what was lovely, and I can remember us all saying this. We all had similar conversations, so I can't pick out people we've specifically had the conversation with, because I think we almost had the conversation with everyone. We all pretty much come to the conclusion that it was lovely that we got rid of the phone and that we were just ourselves, and we were just there, and we were present, and we were socializing, we were communicating, and we were creating connections and friendships as that that's it. But it was lovely, and I can remember a lot of us saying, I say this to myself, I don't know whether you said this, but I certainly said this, you know, when I get out of the house, I'm not going to go back to being on my phone 24/7. You know, I'm going to be limited with it. I'm going to pick it up here and there, but I'm going to turn notifications. I'm not going to be controlled by my phone. As soon as I left that house and I got my phone back, it was like you'd given a heroin addict a shot again. You'd given them the needle with the heroin in, and they shot themselves up, and they were back in it. It was like, it just click your finger, like turn the light switch on, back to it. And I had all the intention in the world of not doing that, and I couldn't do it.
You couldn't. You know why? Because you not only got your shot of heroin back, but you also got a fucking pure girl. Oh, those
Oh
followers.
yeah.
Oh, those mentions. Oh, that buzz. It was pure fucking heroin. And even though I wasn't into it before, I was fucking into that. Ooh, girl.
And that's
That
what
was
you wanted.
good.
You needed to know. You wanted to know the followers you had, what people were saying about you, people that were messaging you, the comments that were in the big. It's just that was everything that came into your mind, and that, I think, shows as a society how sad of a situation we're in, and we can't really blame ourselves, because it's been given to us as almost willy-nilly as you give a kid who has a headache paracetamol. We can't blame ourselves, and maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe people will say, you know, Gen Z, you should blame yourself for it. You're the ones who got hooked to it. Give a kid burgers every day, they're going to love them, and they're going to grow up to be obese. They're going to be up to fat. Give a kid sweets every day, and they're going to love them, and they're going to eat them for the rest of the day. They're going to lose their teeth. They're going to drop out. Give a kid social media. Show a kid. This is another point before I say that final point. Show kids nastiness, arrogance, violence in a relationship. What usually happens when you see violent parents? You often, a lot of the time, end up being a violent person yourself. You learn from what you see. Give a kid a phone, social media, and all that cancerous. They'll become that. They won't be able to escape that. It's no different. And yeah, I think both of our conclusions are we're fucked. But I don't like in life sitting there and just saying, you know what, we're fucked. Call it off. See you later. If we had all the power in the world, which we don't, and we're never going to have, some people would say fortunately, I would say unfortunately.
People, unfortunately, bitches for president. Yeah.
Yeah, put us up. But well, prime minister in my case. Simple question. You have all the power in the world, Thomas. You can do anything. You can literally ban phones. You can you can take them off the fucking thing. You can end Twitter. You can end Facebook. How do you solve this problem? What are the steps? Is there a way back, or is it just too far gone to be able to save this?
That's a tough question, but I think I have a perfect solution. And I don't need fucking all the power in the world to provide a solution, actually. Even if I had all the power in the world, I still wouldn't bat a finger to solve it. Do you know why? Because I would never want to take the free will away from people. I would just say what I'm going to say now. And I'm going to say to that one person who's listening right now, who's going to who's going to listen to this after 30 years after we're dead, because obviously nobody's going to care what we have to
Be
say.
happy we're dead. I'm happy we're dead. We're happy we're dead. Be happy for us. Don't be sad. That will say.
Sorry, there's no episode 2. We didn't survive. Anyway, I would say it's actually up to you. You can put your phone away. You can choose to disengage. You can choose to not acknowledge the haters. You can choose your destiny. You can choose what to do. And you are strong enough. You just need to try. That's all you can do. If you have a problem with it, do something about it. It's actually to you, and nobody can tell you otherwise. If you fucking love it, if you love the hate and you love the positivity and you love the followers and the comments, fucking stay in it. Just stay in it. Do what makes you happy. But if it's bothering you, don't fucking do that shit. Just don't do it. Just quit it. Moderate it. Just find a solution that works for you.
I think that's a perfect, beautiful response. But
you would fuck it all off, wouldn't you?
This is the problem, and this is why I feel like it's a drug. Because as a heroin addict, and I know we keep referencing heroin, and you could reference crack cocaine, you could reference
whatever drugs are, I don't know.
Whatever you enjoy, whatever gets you high, whatever you shoot yourself up with, which hopefully is nothing. You can say to a heroin addict, this is ruining your life, you've lost your kids, you've lost your family, you've lost your mum, you've lost your money, you've lost your life, you're in prison, and still they choose heroin. And my question is to you, is that enough? Or are people miles too fucked, miles too almost institutionalized by social media now to be able to come back? I hate social media, but what am I on all the fucking time? Social media. And even though I tell myself to leave it and to keep it, I can't do it. And this is where the whole blame you thing comes into it. Maybe I do need to blame myself, because I'm one of these people that says, if you care about something enough, you'll give a fuck to do something about it. You'll stand up, you'll say it, you'll scream it from the rooftops, even if it's the most unpopular opinion in the world. I hate social media. I can't see very few positives that it's brought to the world. Yet I'm on it every day, have a Twitter, have an Instagram, have about 5 Twitters, have 2 Instagrams, have a Snapchat, have a Facebook, have a fucking Spotify, have a fucking Telegram, have a fucking ad. I have the fucking whole works. But I hate the fucking thing. So what would you say to somebody like me who hates it, despises it? It gives them nothing but shit in their lives, but they can't bring themselves to do it. How would you convince somebody like me to let it go? Because I hear what you're saying, and I agree. Yes, I should delete it. Yes, it would be better if I did. But I'm not listening to you. There's a disconnect there. How do you connect the disconnect and allow people like myself to listen to that and then to actually do it, actually to step away, actually to improve their lives?
Well, obviously, to what you were asking me earlier, yes, social media is an institution. It cannot be removed, it cannot be destroyed, it cannot be taken away. It's always going to stay. But it's up to you to do whatever feels right. So, I mean, we're talking about specifically you, bitch, right now, because obviously you fuck listen to me, so you're gonna do whatever the fuck you want to do, even though I tell you specifically what to do. You're going to do the opposite, and then you're gonna be like, oh, I can't believe I did that and this happened,
and then you were right.
I'll be like, well, yeah, that naturally, and you'd be like, oh my god, that's incredible. I don't know how it happened. Well, anyway, if there is such a disconnect, then I would be like, just like, you know what? Just do what feels right in the moment. If you want to stay on social media for a whole fucking day, a week, a month, or a year, do it. But if you get tired of it, put it away. If you want to come back to it in like 5 seconds or 5 hours, then do that too. You have to be okay with yourself. And if that means fueling your fucking addiction, I'm sorry, but it's what you have to do. Because the moment you feel bad and the moment you feel not okay with yourself, it's a bad moment.
No, I like that. And I think the thing with me is, and the way I justify it, and maybe this is justification that's not justified, me kind of convince myself to myself, is that, yes, I hate social media, but there's no denying its prevalence and its popularity. And if I want to change the world, and I do believe we all have the power to change the world, even if it's just you change your next door neighbour's opinion or whatever, the butterfly effect is a real thing. It can really change things. You really can. So anybody who says they can't change the world, I think it's bollocks. I think it's an excuse as humans we like to make to take away accountability from ourselves. But you can't change something and just leave it. I can't leave social media and then have an influence on it. I want to influence people, believe it or not, by watching my stuff on social media to go away from social media, which I know is seems to make no sense. Is I want you to watch my stuff on social media and then leave. I mean, I'm not asking people to leave social media. What I would want people to do is, like you say, use social media where it benefits your life, and when it negatively impacts your life, leave the fucking thing to the side. That simple. If only it was that simple, though. And that's, I think, the problem is it's not that simple.
Yeah, and I feel really comfortable with the place that I'm in with social media, because like for me it's either way. It's fun, but it's not like
Life or death.
it's like I'm like neutral on it, which is a great place to be. And I think it's like really healthy. Like I took a fucking break from Instagram for like a year. And it was fine, I came back with, my weight loss update, and I just wanted people to know that I'm alive, because believe it or not, it turns out some of them still care about me for some fucking reason.
They do. And also, as you bring that point up, and we'll round this topic off, because we do have one more topic, which we may not fit into the full podcast. It might get chopped, but
Yeah,
we will see.
fine.
We'll actually talk about it, because what we'll do is we will end the podcast here. But if you do want to see a bonus topic as an extra, click the link in the description and you can get the bonus part, which we're going to be talking about dating on this podcast. So there's going to be almost second parts of the podcast if you want to listen to it. But one thing I will say before we round out the podcast, before you do the sponsor and then we do the outro, and then after we do the bonus show, the post show of the podcast, we talk about dating. Going to be a very interesting topic if you want to listen to it. Congratulations on your weight loss thing, because it has been incredible to see. It has been incredible to watch. And, you should be, this is going to sound cringy, it always does when people say this sort of shit when they're talking to somebody, but you should be really, really proud of yourself. I think it's inspiration. I think you've inspired a lot of people. I think it's incredible. I loved you before. I love you now. But it has been incredible to watch your journey, to watch what you've done, the power, the strength you've shown to do it. I mean, it's honestly inspiring. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm worried about losing weight at the moment. I am putting on weight because my metabolism has changed. I've hit that section when you get to a male, about 20, 21, 22, 23, where all of a sudden you go from being able to eat shit all the time and it not affecting you to all of a sudden I'm eating shit and it's hitting me. And for a long time, it was just hitting my bum. And I was happy with that. I'm a bottom bitch. I'm happy with my ass being big as fuck. But when it starts hitting my stomach, I'm getting scared. And that's where we're at now. But, I'm not going to sit here and say you inspired me to lose weight, because I don't need to lose weight. But you inspired me that in life, when there's an adversity, and you've done this the whole way through since I met you, one of the reasons I came out, a lot of people give a lot of credit to Lewis. I think all the credit you give to Lewis, and no disrespect to him, I know a lot's happened. There's no point in throwing shots or whatever else. Any credit you give him, you have to give exactly the same to Tomasz, because I'm telling you now, I would not have come out on that show if I would not have met you. I would not have seen how comfortable you were with your own skin, how comfortable you are as yourself. And seeing you once again, be yourself, show people how to fight, show people your strength that you've done your whole entire life. You've always been back against the wall. You've always had that cloud over you that's ready to piss on you and soak you without an umbrella, and you're going to get soaked and you're fucked and everything's going to, and you still come through fighting every single fucking time. This is a perfect example. You're the strongest person I ever know, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've never met somebody who's as strong as you. And I think your journey with your weight loss and just your journey in general is so inspiring. And if there's anybody my age or younger out there, listen to Tomasz, look at his story, look at his journey. That's somebody you should be using as your role model, not some random TikToker who, they've got a good heart, but they're doing stupid ass videos. This is what you want to be as your role model. Somebody who gets hit down, gets knocked down, but gets back every single fucking time. Your weight loss journey's been incredible. And as somebody is very close to you, I'm very, very proud of you. And I think what you've done is absolutely incredible.
Thank you very much. So much. You are such a sweet baby of mine. You are my TV baby. I appreciate you tremendously. And also thank you to Perfect Form Aftercare for that surgery and it gave me a head start and a kick in the butt, and that's how I was able to do it. I needed some help, and I got it. Thank you, Pepper from Africa.
And perfect example of when you're offered help, take it. Take those opportunities. Take that fucking help, because you don't know when it's going to be the last time you're offered it. Thomas, I think, if I'm right, before we do the outro for this podcast and then we go on to the post show where we talk about dating, make sure you check it out if you want to continue listening to us talk about shit. We've got dating coming up next. There's a sponsor for this podcast, is there not?
Oh my God, yes! A word of thanks to our sponsor. So our sponsor for this episode is hemorrhoids. When you're done with sitting, get hemorrhoids. Now you can stand up. You don't have to worry about sitting or anal sex anymore. Yes, come through hemorrhoids. Thank y'all.
You piece of shit. Thank you for watching this first podcast. We have really enjoyed. I don't know whether you've enjoyed it, Thomas, but I've enjoyed it. I've spoken for you.
Yes, I loved it. I hope the one listener enjoyed it too.
Yeah, and please do let us know that you've enjoyed it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but hearing that you guys have enjoyed it really does mean a lot to us. All our socials, wherever you've listened to this, whether it be Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, any other platform that we end up getting it on, please do contact us in any way. If there's a comment or if there's message, just message it, please. We love it. Any suggestions you have for topics?
Engagement, the house girl. Bring the engagement. I want to engage with everyone in any means necessary.
Absolutely. And do get in touch with your thoughts on some of the stuff we spoke about today. There's been a lot to it. And if you do want to watch the post show, it is going to be exclusively on YouTube. If you do want to watch it, click the link in whatever description you're watching on this podcast. If not, put my channel in. You don't have a YouTube channel, otherwise, of course, it'd be on yours. But put my channel in, HanCOCK Official. You can get it. You can get the post show for this, where we are going to be talking about dating. And Thomas, I think we're very much looking forward to talking about that.
Yes, and we're going to teach you how to not make mistakes that Matt HanCOCK did.
Which I think we all need to know and we all need to learn, because none of us in life, I mean, this is one thing we can all agree on. No matter where you stand, no matter what your views are, we can all agree that we don't want to grow up and be Matt HanCOCK. Anyway, from me, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I've really enjoyed it. We'll be back at some point very soon for an episode 2 with more topics, more hot or not, more blame you, and more sponsors. Thomas, you introed it, so take it away to outro it.
Thank you for listening, girls, boys, and everybody in between. And I hope you stick around. From your girls to you. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.